Hello and welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio. Joining you live as I do every week, pretty much on a nice crisp Saturday. I'm Andrew, your host and the general boss man around Indiepocalypse, which is everyone's favorite. I don't need to tell you that it's everyone's favorite new indie game cover or zine thing because you know that because there's a new issue out now and it's fresh, it's ready to go. But we're not here to only talk about new issues because really, I don't actually. This is not a promo show. This is just like a hangout show that I don't know. It's just what they call I don't know advertising or whatever. This is how you do advertising nowadays. You just should I do a replay podcast of Indiepocalypse? Is that what people? Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk to game developers who have been in Indiepocalypse. You may know this collection of game developers from issue, I think 30. I'm going to say 30. I'm going to feel comfortable with 30. But here's the thing. There's a lot of them, and I often get myself lost in how many of them there are, and until I lock it down, I was 31. Because I'm thinking like, oh, 31's the newest one. 31's not the newest one anymore. 32 is the newest one now. But I was like, it's got to be 30 because that's the recent. Anyway, a collection of extra Cosmic Studios. We have today here on the show, we've got Adam, we've got Velislav, and we've got... Damn it, I heard you say it, then I lost Konstantin.
Yep, that's right.
Yes, thank you. I was like, I did. You know how you can kind of trust your brain to fill in if you look at the first and last couple letters, you can trust your brain to fill in the blanks. But then sometimes you have to be like, no, brain, you're gonna fill in the blanks with a word that you know, but that's not the word you're looking for. Anyway, welcome to the show, you all. Hello.
Thank you. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Hi.
Yeah, all right. Let's say hello. I mean, I'm Adam. I do the sound and music for our team, and initially some writing and concepting and all of that, and organization. Next.
I can go next. I'm Velislav. I help with the UI design mainly, but I'm multifunctional, let's say. I help with code, the development, and bits of writing, always giving ideas and inspiration to the others.
Well, I'm Konstantin. Adam has invited me to join the team when we started as a 3D modeler, but then somehow drowned in programming and level design, also in the story and so on. So, one of the key parts of our team, like Adam and Velislav.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's all from me.
It's kind of like, sort of any independent art project. Everyone suddenly has their hand in kind of every pie, and then someone has more of a hand in one pie. But it's generally like you kind of touch everything you can, right? You know.
Yeah, indie game progress.
Right. You have to like, well, I need help with this thing. Well, I need help with this part, and you kind of. You don't have, you don't have hired studio help, You were just kind of like,
yeah, sure.
Everybody's got to do everything to the best of all their abilities, which is the nature of that. But anyway, welcome all to the show. I'm gonna
Thank you.
I've got to ask the most important number one sort of like Indiepocalypse question, which is how did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
I think I can answer that question.
Yeah, who was it who actually shared it with the group?
I think that was me. I think I have after our initial jam, that was a Scream jam, I think from 2021. we have started to further developing of our game, and on some point we have just think, okay, where we can put our game to, like in another gem where not the game from scratch, but from in-game development already game already in development can be just added. And then we have found your Indiepocalypse, and we have think, okay, we were attracted that there was pretty much games in each issues, and okay, I must say $20 has also attracted.
That's it's a little extra bit of a carrot of that. Hey, you can, and like,
and we have found it on each IO. So
it's a weird thing because I'm like it's not a lot, but it's also startlingly more than most people have ever gotten.
Yeah, it's something like you can tell your mom, look, I'm making $20 with indie games.
Yes, right. You can.
I'm just starting.
Right, you didn't believe in me, but look at me now.
Yeah. You can tell everyone, hey, I have make money with my game, and you.
Right. there's this guy somewhere that believes in me, and if that guy,
you don't. You don't think I've been telling everyone like, oh yeah, I have an interview this Saturday. Yeah, I've been in a magazine. I'm in a zine this week. It's no big deal.
Yeah. It's one of oops. Oh no. It's one of those things you can. Yeah, it creates like a space where you can say, "Hell, yeah, I've been included in a thing. I've been involved. I have a." It's something you put on a resume for better or for worse,
Yeah, totally justifiable. Yeah. But we really appreciate Indiepocalypse. I bought, I think it was issue 22. There's a lot of cool stuff in that. And we were in 31, I think. Yes, as you said. So
members of 31, which is you just lost the most recent issue status, but one of the top issues, I think, honestly, in terms of making money, which is
cool.
Cool. Nice.
I believe so. Well, especially in terms of like if we can break down the transparency of it all, you got the very rare like double payment, which does not come up very often in a month.
Oh, as in past the breaking even point.
It's kind of like what's it called? Everyone's used to the singular royalties, and I usually get a lot of emails where someone's like, "Hey, you said these come out every week. We get royalties." I'm like, "Yeah, that kind of only happens once." But I believe with 31, it happened twice.
Lucky.
Well, it deserves it.
Yeah, nigh unheard of. But great nonetheless. It's a sign of good things to come. Maybe, who knows? It's all over the place with this thing. But anyway, tell me, myself and the listening audience, a little bit about your game, which I never actually mentioned the game when I said you may know them from, but the game being Fear the Void, the prologue being in Indiepocalypse 31. Tell me a little bit about that.
I'll start on that, if that's all right. It was actually originally we got together for I was getting into game jams during lockdown. I pretty much was doing game jams constantly since I learned they existed in 2021, which might be quite late for, I don't know how long they've been going on, but
there's never too late to start making games.
And I grabbed some people that I'd worked with previously, and also communicated because of these game jams and things like that. And two of those people were Veleslav and Konstantin. And I had a very I wanted to make a kind of a retro style 3D horror game that would not be too much work
Oh,
for the 2 weeks that we had. Was the idea with the initial part
yes,
of it anyway.
right. That'll no, it just won't be too much work.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I'm not a programmer. I've not put a single line of code into this game. So it turns out my ideas were not so. What I thought was like basically a walking simulator with very little walking was the initial concept, and kind of atmospheric and vibes based. But it turns out it needed a lot more coding and tweaking and stuff than I imagined. So props to the you guys who worked on the coding on that.
Yes,
And then after that, we just realized, keep working on the game, and pretty much from the a little bit after the game jam, Velislav said he did a little bit of the writing. Velislav's done all the writing, I think, since that game jam. So the game's got a lot bigger since then. And it's been all it's been all his ideas with input from the rest of the team too. So, yeah.
I can continue if you want. I believe that there was potential in this game because Adam's idea was great as a foundation, and lots of people like the atmosphere, the vibe of the game that we have created in those 2 weeks. So that I was like, let's not start another project or continue making random game jams. Let's focus on this particular one and finish it like as a full project. And we're, let's say, halfway there to finishing the full thing, but at least we now have a prologue with we can tell a story, and yeah.
Yeah, because it can be tricky, especially if you're like kind of just starting off, or not just starting off, but like never said like, hey, let's make a full game. It's like, well, how long do you make it? There's a difficulty to, especially I guess that's a difficulty of working digitally in total, where it's when you have as much space as your hard drive will allow, how much space do you fill?
Mm-hmm.
Or when do you stop?
Mm.
And it runs into that sort of like weird sort of problem where it's like, hey, when do I stop making this game?
Yeah.
So
and it's not been we've not taken and with the structure it's we've not kind of put it easy on ourselves, or the programmers certainly haven't, and writers, because we've got like branching paths that kind of come back together again, and you can play the game kind of more than once is the idea, to get a bunch of different endings. So it's
yes, that is, and that's one of those things that really like, kind of really balloons the work, of being like, oh, you can do multiple playthroughs.
Yeah, I mean the checkpoint system alone.
Right. Oh, I've never made a game that's had a save point or saved your progress post.
It was not so easy, but I think when the game has the save system, then it's really interesting to program it. At least when I have implemented it, I have understood, okay, now it's pretty easy to build up when those system works.
Yeah, right. That's...
And that's a good point, at least in our development right now, that most of the coding stuff, it's done, right? There is still some few parts that need to be coded for some new features that come, like say, in the final stages in the game. But still, the most common stuff, most modules or features, they are programmed, right? So we're, let's say, there is still some work in 3D modeling, in UI, in sound. In stories also, let's say, we have branched it, but it's still fixed somehow. I think we have some base storyline, and we are trying to implement that and not to add too much branching, because it's clear that, how you said, it could be infinite, but we need some scope, and
Yeah,
we are
right.
pretty good at it right now. I think sorry, the main problem that we have, not problem, just it just
Obstacle. That's it.
Hmm?
Like an obstacle, you know, for
Obstacle,
just
challenge.
yeah.
yeah, and we need some time just because anyway we have our private lives with our works, study, and so on problems and so on.
Right,
That
right.
that's a good on indie team. That at least we can give each other some time because if it's a higher job or something, you need to do it in some timeline. But in indie team with friends, if we want to make it to the end, but still we understand that each of us can have some private life stuff going right now, and he just not have time to contribute right now. But
Yeah.
after some weeks, he can just pull all his 100% on that.
Yeah, because your deadlines are self-imposed. There's no like there's nothing you're forced to crunch to, and it's about finding that balance between we have infinite time because we're our own boss, and we
Yeah.
decide when anything gets done, and being like, well, we do also would like to finish it, so we have to kind
At
of
least
like yeah.
we have tried to put the deadline. The first idea was to make the game full, at least for me, at the end of summer. But well,
Yeah, it depends. Depending your definition of summer, we're getting awfully close there.
in which year? I have not said it.
Yeah, right. Which hemisphere? Maybe you're talking about the upcoming southern hemisphere summer that hasn't even arrived yet.
Yeah, that's more likely. Yeah.
There's always another summer. You know, you just gotta
Yep.
find the one that works for you.
But I must say, your the journey for
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Konstantin said this might happen.
His
You can hear
internet
us.
goes down.
You've cut out. That's all right. Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Can you now? Now Adam, now you're talking. Can you sort of team a mind meld and be like, oh, I know exactly what he was saying, and I can pick up immediately where it was.
Well, I mean, we were just rounding off the thought about scope and when we're going to finish, and who knows? We've got. I think we have a kind of a map of all the scenes and the structures and the whole overarching structure of the game. Putting in I've got some sound effects and music to do, and we're going to clean up the writing and put it out. And it will no longer have this subtitle of prologue,
right,
in the title.
Yeah.
But despite it being prologue, and well, even with the jam version, what I never expected was when we put it out, just how many let's players it would get. Like I don't know how normal that is, or maybe it's because we're a horror game specifically, and that's like real bait for let's players. But
I can tell you, it certainly is.
Yeah, I didn't expect one let's play on YouTube. Yeah, but there's tons. I mean, tons compared to what I would have imagined. But yeah, so that's been a really good source of what do you call it? Play testing. He's gone. Play testing, and you can see that maybe it's because they feel it's their job to do it, but they find every ending when these let's players play.
We're in sort of like a heyday of horror games. So there's a lot of people who will, like I've like, you know, even like I see a lot of submitted games. You know, let's say a lot of them are less than good, perhaps is a polite way of saying it. But if it's a horror game, it'll still have like 3 to 4 let's plays on it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because a lot of these videos we've been included on have been like playing 3 or 4 quick horror games.
Yeah.
But, so
it's
I don't know.
it's a vibrant sort of like exciting little space to work in.
Yeah, you got everyone's still. It's weird. Everyone's still crazy about creepypastas and what's it called? The SCP stuff seems to be just around all the time.
Oh yes,
With
Backrooms.
back. Isn't that? Yeah. How old is that like concept? Because I see that and I've seen that just constantly memed these days.
Wait,
Backroom.
which concept?
The Backrooms.
Backrooms. There's just lots of games just set in just this Microsoft screensaver looking maze, but it's like an old yellowy office. The Backrooms, yeah, it's an urban legend creepypasta, an endless maze of randomly generated office rooms, and just generally after 10 or so minutes of exploring this weird vibe liminal area, you get killed by something.
Yeah, I guess that the explore until you die genre of horror.
Yeah,
is a thriving, that kind of like post slender number of pages. I forget how many pages the old guy had, but that kind of like slender pages game concept of run around this space explorer thing and then sometimes randomly die. Somebody will kill you.
Yeah, it's still going strong.
Yeah.
Because that was like 2012. That old like weird slender game.
Yeah.
It was like I remember like I played that like at night in like the garden on a laptop with some friends. We thought that would be like a spooky thing to do.
Yeah.
Sounds spooky.
Yeah, and the spirit lives on. Yeah, but yeah.
It is definitely like an early era of the kind of like resurgence or like the surgence. You know what I say this? People have always loved horror. It's kind of like feels like the eternal like mass market thing that people will always be drawn to. And it's not. I mean, it's not even just games. People love horror movies. You know, those are like
sure.
They're like very bread and butter, like low budget, high return movies. You know. So it's like it's a very interesting space to kind of work around in. You know, there's a lot going on and a lot you can do.
Yeah. And in particular, we were looking at PlayStation 1 games. We think that's what we were kind of going for. I think we're kind of in between PlayStation 1 and 2 with the kind of fidelity of the game.
Right. Listen, I'm not a purist in terms of.
Oh, sure. Well, PlayStation 1 Renaissance has been going on for so long. The PlayStation 2's resurgence is just around the corner. So we're kind of getting ahead of that.
Once people start to get their graphics cards back and they can start buying them again.
Yes.
Then people will be like, "Oh, let's start making," and then I can't. I think PS2 is where you stop because I don't think you can do retro graphics or whatever for the PS3 or something. I just don't.
I definitely think you can. I definitely think that's going to be right after. I think that people going crazy about Metal Gear Revengeance, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, and other games for the PlayStation 3 are kind of coming back, and I think it'll. It's got a distinctive look to it, I reckon. Right. Maybe if there's enough asset packs for it, because I guess game creation tools are going to get more and more user friendly. So I think that kind of game will get easier to make. I mean, that's why PlayStation 1 there's a big appeal to PlayStation 1, because it's also what was only possible for a big team to make something like Silent Hill in the 90s. Like is now attainable. That's why we've done it. It's like attainable for a team like us now.
Right. And I guess now I think about it, like I've played plenty of games. I get plenty of even submissions that are just like super, I don't know, not super high risk, but like, very complicated models that are clearly they're probably from the asset stores. They're probably from asset stores or just like something built into Unreal. There's that kind of like, Unreal out of the box chic maybe is what that era will be, that like aesthetic. Because there's definitely like a lot of, because I'm like, one person is not making all of these very high res boxes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and everything will turn around. The past is coming back, like bring back the 80s, bring back the 90s, and in the future they would want to bring what we have now, and that's a loop forever. So
yeah, you got these cultural cycles coming back. People are already, you're already seeing people talking about 2000s and even like sometimes like young people online talking about like, oh, I wish I was alive in like well, not alive, but I wish I was a teen in like the mid 2010s, like like I don't know if you do, but
where the real culture was.
That's right.
whatever was going on there, that the Underworld franchise.
My Chemical Romance, yes.
You say that, but I got into My Chemical Romance last year or so.
Oh, well, that's fair enough. You know,
it's not full. I finally gave a try to listen to the Black Parade, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, it's some peak like drama school kids or drama club stuff, and it's kind of great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was all about it when I was 14.
Yes,
the song, what's his name? Jared, what's his name, was singing "I'm Not Okay," and I was like, "I'm not okay. This song is for me."
Yes, I could. I see the the high school drama members who were in love with that. And I go, yeah, I get this aesthetic. There's something there. It's cool. I find myself drawn to sort of distinctness, or seeing how people connect to it.
Yeah, and there's this part like teenage drama, like when you're a teenager, you overact about everything, and when you grow up, you have bigger dramas than the fact that you were weird in front of your crush, let's say, or I don't know. Like you have bigger problems in the future.
And there's that beauty to small problems.
Yeah.
Feeling broadly misunderstood is sometimes nice compared to not being able to afford rent.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we're kind of less dramatic about much bigger problems.
Yeah, right. I guess there's always rent, but I've never listened to it.
But yeah, bringing it back to the game, that was kind of the original concept was sort of a demon that feeds on or apathy, sort of thing, or can you're vulnerable to be dragged into a void and eaten by monsters if you've got like an abundance of apathy in your life. You're just kind of you have these big problems and these big problems in your past, but you're just kind of ignoring them and trying to forget them, and just kind of going on with the day-to-day stuff, which we kind of tried to bring that out in a game.
Yeah, and I think that's also the interesting thing that it's not overlooked. It's a common part of horror, but the idea of the monster it's a monster, but it's also not a monster. It's the monster transcends the idea of simply just being a scary thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a representative of a larger concept of of those sort of like, not even just like the primal fears, but of like more abstract fears and more abstract concepts that drag us down.
Yeah. And if we do a throwback to the Slenderman and the back rooms, where just a random monster chases you somewhere for no reason,
right?
With Fear the Board, we try to send a message to make it something more meaningful, to tell a story, be something fun and scary at the same time, and make people think like, am I the monster? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. And well, there's like paths in the game where we're still kind of talking about. There's paths in the game where you can kind of make quite immoral choices, right? Is that right, Konstantin? You were telling me about that earlier. There's a kind of an event that can happen because you really mistreat a character.
Yep. You mean the NPC character that the player means?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. You just made that. You just made that model. That was really scary. The animation of it was gross. But a really interesting monster idea from Konstantin. Where did you get that from?
From my mind.
Sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We've got a torso of a man as he kind of lies back with his arms out, being dragged by his lower half, which is some kind of some kind of demon cockroach, fleshy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, now that I think of that, as you know, the story of that NPC, it's his corruption is that he's so dragged by his ambitions that it hurts his family and loved ones. And in a way, if you imagine it would be very symbolic, because his ambitions, the spider, his lower half of the body is dragging him.
Yes.
If you imagine that, yeah, which is actually great.
Yeah, well, there we go. It's good you took over from the writing from me.
Right.
Nice.
Well,
it's really moved on from the original idea I had about being sad on a train.
Well, I mean, you can still be sad on a train and then also be other things.
Oh, it's still the first scene, yeah.
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 No
You have to start
one's
from somewhere.
taking away the sad, but sometimes there's is sad on the train goes sideways as well, you know. And two, it's a jumping off point for a broader bit of sadness, perhaps. But now, speaking of games, speaking of sort of nostalgia and ambition, or not rather ambition, apathy, and that kind of like, do you have a particular sort of inspiration that you draw from? Even not games specifically, but something that is like a cornerstone of like, this is me creatively speaking. This is the thing that I'm like, oh, what if I could have made this? Or what if I just kind of like the kind of like unescapable influence you may have?
Maybe for me, like all the shows I watch, series, anime, books, literature, those kind of things. Like, not I get some abstract ideas from them, and then I try to connect them with our story. Let's say as an inspiration, and just general thoughts and make them into a story. For example.
Okay, Adam?
Oh, what was the name of that software? What's the mood board software we were using? The browser-based thing? Collaboration?
Miro board.
Miro, innit? Miro board, yeah. Yeah, well, it started off with like a mood board of stuff from games and things. Where we had I stuck on a lot of stuff from PlayStation 1 games. And horror and stuff, like I'm just opening it now.
Games, movies.
Yeah. things like, let's see. But yeah, modern. Yeah, it was really the whole. The reason why we even considered this was because we were seeing other people being successful with stuff that just hadn't occurred to me before. Anyway, like, have you heard of the game Paratopic?
Yes. Yep.
Yes, and Fatum Betula.
No, maybe.
I recommend that one. They're actually sold on Nintendo Switch. That's sold as a bundle. They're sold together. It's interesting. Just games that are not about they're not about the action. They're not about the it's not even a visual novel. It's about the vibes and the weird situations that you find yourself in. So Fat and Betula, Paratopic, Apolysis were 3 really interesting indie games that were quite successful, that kind of made it look possible. And then there were some really kind of strange, sometimes, often untranslated PlayStation 1 games that were a big inspiration too. If you've ever heard of Germs, I think it's called, or maybe it's called The Town That Was Attacked, or The Town That Was, I don't know. It's untranslated.
Right. You just have someone's some enthusiastic person with a little bit of translation experience.
Germs. If you ever search Germs PS1, then you'd find it. It's like they made this whole town, like a whole Twin Peaks kind of style town, with outskirts and facilities. It's got a functioning subway system, but it's all very low poly. It's kind of unfinished seeming, but there's this whole weird story to it with underground. It's got underground tunnels in this kind of big free roam town. It's a really crazy concept, but I saw that. I saw the subway train in that, and I was like, damn, this is a vibe. Let's make a game in a subway train.
Yeah.
A low poly subway train. Yeah.
And looking it up, I don't recognize the other 2 boxes. Someone was saying that they had found their 4 holy grails, and another one is LSD Dream Simulator. But what are these other 2 games? Oh no, Reddit is broken. I cannot tell you.
Yeah, LSD Dream Simulator is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's too much. That's too much. Let's see, Ibaran. I mean, even if I could read it, I don't know what the game is.
Oh yeah, it's called Nerawareta Machi, which is fine. Yeah, it's got, and the cover is great. There's just no title. It's just a blurred mass of naked bodies.
Yes, that is a very cool cover. I was looking at that cover. I was like, that is.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess it was like really Japan was they were 19. It was in the 90s. They had. Everyone had enough money from the internet, from the .com bubble, to just do whatever.
Right,
I guess.
right.
That's the kind of PlayStation 1 games that never left that country are kind of mind blowing sometimes.
I think part of the appeal of that era is that design feels less codified. Like there's a certain level of, I probably can read about this in my Japanese video game obscurities book that I have from Hardcore Gaming 101, former contributor. That's a very good site, I would say, in general, if you're looking for weird stuff.
Okay.
And kind
Hardcore
of
Gaming.
stuff off the beaten path. It's kind of like if you search for something like Germs. Often, maybe this one not slightly because it's a horror game. No, actually, there is entry number 2, Hardcore Gaming 101. Whenever you're looking for weird, especially unreleased in the West games, you'll often find yourself on that site. They do a good job just kind of like filling in, hey, somebody has to write about Linda Cubed. So it might as well be us. But yeah, no, that is. I think there is that charm of that era, of this kind of like because it feels achievable, you know.
Yes, yeah. When you got a whole city, but everything's so low poly and totally grey. They didn't even add any textures to this city.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they really it seems like it was what they wanted to do, but yeah, and these days it seems kind of it was probably very difficult to do at the time, of course. They probably had to put a lot of effort into that featureless kind of those featureless buildings.
Right.
Large teams that were working on those games, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you start Germs, as soon as you start it, you have access to. You're in an office, you have access to a PC, and you can use the PC. It's got an operating system. You access your emails and things. There's a lot to it, yeah, and we don't quite have systems like that in our game. But
no. Listen, you build them out slowly. That's the beauty of It's the beauty of programming is that once you've made the code is still there. And you just paste it into the new project, and you've already got it all there.
And it's nice to see these days with certain game developers expanding on stuff like that. Like you got, if you've seen Hypnospace Outlaw, that's pretty amazing. A whole game based on just some fictional version of Windows 95.
Right, you can do all sorts of like you find yourself that. I mean, I think that's the interesting thing of the indie space is kind of. That when it feels sort of unfettered by rules and good design or whatever, it's just kind of just doing its own thing. As I think sort of the peak of what good indie space is people like you can just make whatever you want, as it turns out. You're not beholden to studio expectations or anyone's expectations besides perhaps your own.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
You can just kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then
it's especially interesting when these developers like kind of carry the torch from games they maybe really loved when they were young, or that they've kind of discovered from the past. Like, there's a guy I know making a Parasite Eve type game. Which would be awesome.
As someone who came late to Parasite Eve and got very excited, I'm like, oh, Parasite Eve is cool.
Yeah, and that battle system's never really come back.
Yeah,
I guess the Final Fantasy remake is kind of that, but not the same, not quite.
Right. Vagrant's story is like an infinitely more complex version of that.
Yes.
It's like, oh, that sphere is really cool. What if that sphere involved limbs and weapon types and all sorts of vulnerabilities and, a million other little details that are very confusing to like a 12-year-old who's playing it for the first time because he likes to play Square games and doesn't understand what's going on. But there's like so much kind of untapped ideas from the past that people are just kind of like flirting with and trying to figure out for themselves.
Yes.
So it's interesting to see like what people like take away from things, And like
kind of makes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. I'm here every week.
Okay. That makes it like a more artistic medium. Like everyone can express themselves in a way.
Right. Like, we found ourselves in this giant roguelike hole because somebody somewhere really liked Rogue, And then it just kind of hit at the right time, or like, Derek, you really liked Rogue and he liked Spelunker, and he said, what if the two together?
Yeah.
And then like 8 years later it became a hit. We're like, when was that original like that original Spelunky come out, forever, like well before the kind of canonical one that people got in on, Oh, 2008. That's what it was. Yeah, that's a lot earlier than like 2000. Yeah, so 4 years between, like, the sort of XBLA version. So that's also to remind people, hey, the games you like don't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
It all comes from somewhere. Very, very rarely is someone going to show up one day with a game that they just made as their first game, and it's all the good ideas, and they nailed it in one.
Yeah, and it's always going to have. Yeah, I think good games are always going to have kind of influences and things, and obviously, and not just going to be a concept that's just come out of nothing.
Right.
Things like Minecraft, like, were based on just very closely based on things that already existed.
Right.
Even though it's the first one of those games that most people have heard of.
Yeah, and all these things sort of like the tricky thing, or the not worrisome, but the thing about when you get into like very derivative works is the works that are often being derived from, that are the source of eventual derivations, are themselves typically sourced from like a bunch of other different things, like a huge variety of like influences, and usually not just like one thing. Star Wars is like the most classic, I think, or the easiest to point at example of that sort of thing, where new Star Wars is based on Star Wars, but old Star Wars is based on like, Flash Gordon and Kurosawa and whatever, all that other stuff that George Lucas liked.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get kind of lost in the weeds of missing what people's like pulling influences from multiple sources and sources from outside your medium.
It just, I think, is human nature, or nature of art, where somewhere, even if we think it just comes from nothing, or just it's our idea, it's anyway will be influenced from something that we have seen in our life before. It's just every artist reference on something that concrete artist seen in his or expressed in his life, experience in his life, and so on. So
we've got a late breaking question. I listen. You're never too late to, if you're here on Indiepocalypse, you're here in the chat, you're never too late to submit a question to, what do I call it, URL? Indiepocalypse.com/questions. But I know what this question is, Soul, so you don't have to submit to this question, which is, I've got a late breaking question here from Soul that they got to know. Do you all have, and if you do, what is your favorite rock?
Just rock in general?
Just rock in general.
Are we talking about geology? We're talking about music.
I'm going to leave that dealer's choice.
Nice.
So is it like is it some kind of emerald, or is it math?
It would be, I guess, there's a lot of British rock bands that I'm a big fan of course. I like Kasabian. I like Vaccines. I like a lot of dumb bands like that. And a lot of old stuff too. I got a thought about this actually. Yeah. Recently I was listening to old heavy metal music, like Iron Maiden, Metallica, and Motorhead and things. And it's kind of funny, people were freaking out at the time, like, oh, this music is so immoral. But like so many of the songs are just about like staying up late.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to bed kind of thing. That song Fear of the Dark is like, that it's just about, oh, the lights are off and it's scary. Enter Sandman is literally like, it's time to get tucked in. Enter night.
Well, I will say, especially freaking Iron Maiden's a bunch of dorks. I feel like that. I feel like that's almost like a subgenre of like dork metal. Just like, listen, let's be honest, they're a bunch of nerds. They've got double bass, but they're also singing about elves.
No, that's great. Love it.
Yeah.
Just maybe I would say as a music genre, rock, I would say alternative, indie, grunge. Yeah, well, those kinds of rock sometimes if I feel a bit old school, I don't know. And for a normal rock, I love river rocks because you never know what you're gonna find inside them. I like when you go out with friends in the mountain for a trip or something, and we just go boogie mode and break the river rocks. And sometimes they're like very shiny inside, like maybe they were a very dirty quartz on the outside, but inside you can see it.
You do that? You split rocks sometimes?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And sometimes you find cool stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah, because the beauty of splitting rocks, it doesn't have to be you can just do it on anything, you know. You just break those things.
Breaking stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Constantine?
Well, I like also like in general I like rock. I cannot say that it's my the most type of music that I like, but still I like it very much. And from day to day, I think I listen more to the old groups, like Adam already said, like Iron Maiden and so on, Metallica. Also, I like very much Queen and Beatles from all this stuff. And when you ask me what my favorite rock singer will be, I will say the King, so Elvis Presley and so on. I really like the voice and the story behind him.
Oh yeah. Did you see the Baz Luhrmann movie?
Yeah.
I haven't yet.
You haven't seen?
I've only seen the scene where they're saying he's playing on the radio and somebody says to Tom Hanks,
okay.
"He's white," and he's like, "He's white? He's white. Marketable."
Yeah. Yes.
Actually, it's a good movie. I think also, at first I have think, hey, this guy is not looking exactly like Elvis, but I must say he's acting really, really good, and he can. As for me, I just forget that he is not Elvis at the end of the film because he acting really, really good. This actor that has played him. From trailers, it's not to see, but when you're sitting in the cinema and look at that, you really believing that that you're looking at Elvis because he's just expressing him so good.
Yeah, I should check it out.
It's about evoking the idea of a person, not necessarily needing to look like them, you know. To be a perfect yeah.
I think I have read somewhere that he have trained like a year or two just to all those emotions, just to be really, really copy of him or something like this. And it's cool, must say.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love getting the rock question, and I love occasionally getting the double hit of music plus geological feature.
Yeah. Not much on the geology side of things from me.
Listen, I respect.
Not really clued in.
I have simple. I am a simple man. I have simple rock answers. I am also like a very like river rock, nature rock kind of guy. That's just kind of like, what do you find in the world?
Yeah, nice.
And like, I don't know what this is, but I think it looks cool.
Nice. Pure rocking.
And then who knows what I care about music-wise? I am all over the place. I have no current allegiances, perhaps. Who knows?
Today, I don't know if you guys saw my my Instagram. Did you see the artist that I shared? I think you did. One of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like a Fortet. If you ever listen to Fortet, electronic musician, he makes a lot of music like this, like.
Nice.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse to pick up my little drum machine. He's got a side project with like all the titles of his music are like it's unpronounceable, just trash letters. None of them are even letters. It's all like wingding.
Yeah. I think you shared on Instagram.
Yeah, on punctuation. You can't even recommend it to people.
Right.
I really like it, but like, what do I say? I have to say, you got to Google Fortet side project. And then click around until you see a bunch of symbols that don't make any sense.
Right.
Like, yeah, so I don't know how that's like anti-marketing. That is like some bands they think about the titles of their songs and their albums based on Google and search engines. But like, this is the opposite of that. It's like, how do you make it impossible to find your work online?
Yeah, aren't there? Doesn't Aphex Twin also have like similarly? Don't they have some albums like that where the titles are just like unsearchable strings of text?
Yeah, that was the album that was like well, it was Cyro, that was it. But all the tracks are like fuzz,
yeah, right,
numbers. But like, at least you can Google Cyro.
Right. Yes.
And Aphex Twin, but this artist I was listening to today, or his side project.
He's going one step further.
It's like his name is like 15 characters, and the first two are Braille. Then it's just I can't even describe the rest of it.
Oh, would you believe me if I found it? I found it by searching.
Really?
It actually shows up on Spotify. You search Fortet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, that makes things a lot simpler then, because I don't think it's his main Spotify account, because Fortet is still Fortet. Yeah, right. There it is. Okay, so it is connected to his main account then. Yeah.
So it does. It is searchable at least through Spotify. Otherwise, good luck.
But yeah, that's what I've been listening to anyway.
Yeah.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah.
There's this artist Master Boot record. It's again more very fast electronic music, like made on an old computer or something. And all the songs are a random combination of numbers, and you cannot always remember them, like which song was which. And when you play a song to someone and you like check out the whole song, like, is this the one with the cool part that I want to show someone? Because they're like very similar numbers, and
yeah,
a little different.
Yeah, it's a struggle. Just forcefully playing someone music is always a risk.
Yes, I generally avoid it unless like, I guess technically if it's like if I'm in a car and you're in my car with me, you have to listen to what I'm listening to.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But generally, I'm like, oh, I can't make people listen to what I'm listening to. What if I like annoying stuff? And I do. Like a lot of annoying stuff. I can be a big fan of. Also, you never know what people find unlistenable. I go, oh, this is just regular. This is what music should sound like. It just sounds like regular music, and it's noise.
Yeah, after doing like an art music degree, I was just completely ruined for what was even normal anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Your perspective shifts so much.
So much noise and like stuff made out of hacked electronics and all of that. It's just yeah, and Frank Zappa and his adjacent artists and things like that. Just the most I was completely off kilter, sort of totally off. Yeah, no more kind of ear for what's normal anymore.
Yeah, you go like, oh, Frank Zappa's normal. What are you talking about?
He is, yeah, he really is. But
Yeah.
then but some people, they can't handle it.
Right. I remember the first time I listened to Trout Mask Replica. I'm like, this is just a regular album. What are you guys talking about? This is very listenable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's the weirdness of like whole. And I wonder if we can listen. If I can bring it back to video games this time, I wonder. As people try to explore like this haunted, this lo-fi PS1 space and this PS1 horror space, and they try to distinct themselves, or they try to bring in their own voice to it. I wonder how long till we get our do we basically remake our weird, ambitious, full living city game, just as people are slowly finding what works for them, or getting like, well, no, all these games, I'm used to what these games are. I gotta, as your sickness grows and you need the harder stuff, and you start to make the harder stuff.
Yeah.
And then it becomes unapproachable in a beautiful way.
Yeah. And talking about like just stuff that's not the mainstream, and I mean Indiepocalypse is great for that, obviously. And I really want to check out this typing game you've got in the latest issue.
Oh yeah,
that looks fun. The Sisyphean typing game.
Yes, no, this is, listen, I'm on the games. Who needs games that you can play that have beginnings, middles, and ends? So far as I'm concerned.
And this Game Boy game by the award-winning poet. That's definitely something I'll check out this evening.
Bitsy, I'll have you know. Excuse you very much.
Which part?
The game? No, it's a Bitsy game.
Bitsy? What the heck is Bitsy?
Oh, you don't know what Bitsy is?
Is that like?
Bitsy it's like a 1-bit editor. You can do it on the web. There's a ton of Bitsy games. It's kind of like, I feel like
Pico 8.
Yeah, kind of. Yes, exactly. Think of it sort of like Pico 8, where it's like it's a limited console.
Okay.
And it's about 1-bit, sort of like 4-way directions. There's hacks of it, so you can do it in 3D, and you can do other things with it as well. But it's generally this 1-bit style, short, like, narrative adventure games. It's very cool. I am a big fan of Bitsy, and I include a lot of Bitsy games in Indiepocalypse because I really think it's the kind of like the most exciting space people are working in, and like especially when you like if you were to do exciting space versus attention given and money earned, Bitsy, or lack of money earned, I should say rather. I feel like Bitsy is like the perfect thing of like, it's super cool, but also I feel like it doesn't get all the attention it deserves, and I don't know if people are paying any money for Bitsy games, but they should.
Yeah.
I'm #1 Bitsy booster around these parts.
Cool. Yeah, I should check that out.
Yeah, there's someone had made a Bitsy, like a little box. Look up the Bitsy Boutique. It's pretty cool.
Bitsy Boutique, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little box they had made that has a bunch of Bitsy games in it, because they're very, obviously they're super low intensity, So it's easy to run it on something that's like
it seems like it's going right back to like ZX Spectrum type stuff. Or maybe I'm thinking,
game. It is that kind of what's it called? Yeah, the very lo-fi, very minimalist graphics sort of thing. That it's kind of like Pico 8 or something, or the kind of like PS1, where it's like, because you're limited in your scope, like you're sort of inherently limiting yourself in scope. it allows you to try something else. It brings you to a different kind of avenue of design.
Yeah. And I've been keeping an eye on Game Boy Maker. I think it's just called, or Game Boy Studio.
GB Studio.
GB Studio, that's the one. Yeah, last time I tried it, it seemed a little too locked into like a janky kind of Legend of Zelda style of game.
Yeah.
But as they keep kind of updating it, so I think that'll be a really powerful tool, or maybe it is already for some people. Yeah.
Yeah. The level of homebrew that people are bringing is also very nice. The kind of so that you can actually easily, without having to learn BASIC or something, you can make games for these old consoles that allows you to kind of like live within those restraints.
Yeah.
Because I think constraints are cool sometimes. I think it's also like, it's just the thing where everyone has their own creative process, and allowing more, all these, and I think the most important thing these tools do is they allow more people to make more games more easily. Anything that kind of like helps remove some of the upfront programming burden. I mean, if you can program, you're always going to be able to do like way more stuff. Same way in the if you can write well or draw well, your options are always far more expansive. But
no, I refuse to learn any coding. None of that. No, I just can't. I've tried in the past. I'm very grateful to the hardworking coders of Extra Cosmic Studio. You guys.
It would be great if the other guys could join, but they didn't respond to us.
Oh yeah, we've got like a total. How many of us even are there? 5 technically. Yes. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I guess plus some early assets from another 3D artist. Yeah. Yeah, but no, they were busy. I mean, we as a team, we kind of, I mean, at least speaking for myself, kind of drop off the grid every now and again.
Yes.
When we got something going on. So yeah, like we're at 3 out of 5 at the moment, I think, and even I'm kind of tenuous because I'm definitely not. I haven't been as hardworking these days as these guys.
Well, it's
I haven't worked much.
When you've got your own project, why would you force yourself to crunch?
Yeah.
When you're your own boss.
You want to see it finished someday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The deadline is at some point.
Yeah. Listen, that's a good deadline. I don't necessarily recommend my kind of approach to having a very rigid deadline that I adhere to constantly. But I've just gotten good at it, so I don't know what else to do, But speaking of deadlines, we've reached the deadline of this show.
Yeah, so I wondered if that was coming up.
Yeah, we are cresting about an hour here, which is I think a good capper for a show length. A good amount spend of I'll call it conversational time. Other shows go a little bit longer because there's like breaks and stuff in between, but without breaks, I think an hour is an ideal spot here. So, if you have any kind of like last things you want to get out, please let them get out. But if not, tell me about where we can find the people out there can find your stuff.
Well, I suppose, that would be the closing thought is we're working on the game Fear the Void, beloved by YouTube Let's Players with less than 10 subscribers. Horror game.
They're the backblood of the indie game economy.
That's right. Yes. And for now it's free, but so you better get in there on the ground floor of this thing because I mean, I'm maybe when you download it for free and it's in your library on itch, then you don't have to pay for it when it becomes paid. I don't know. Try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm Adam. I work on the sound of music. And what about you guys?
I would also mention that we have a Twitter. You can follow us there. We have a YouTube channel. Everything is Extra Cosmic Studios. You can find us everywhere. We have an Instagram. You can follow us wherever. You can follow us everywhere. We really would appreciate that. And of course, if you play our game, and we want to make a Discord server soon, so stay for that. Follow us everywhere, and you'll be notified when that's ready, and you can join our community in the development process.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for the link tree. Yes.
There
it is.
It's a link tree. If you want to find all the stuff, you just link tree or
everything.
You know how Linktree spells things out, folks. It's linktr.ee, and that's just Extra Cosmic Studios.
Yeah.
If you want to find all those things later. And you definitely should, because that's why I have people on the show, because you look at their stuff, you know? That's the point of people being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Is there a way to share this show later? Is it archived at all? No.
Yes, it'll be archived for the people who want to edit, for the people who want it on Monday, people who can't wait. If you subscribe at any level of the Indiepocalypse Patreon, you get it on Monday. Otherwise, you gotta wait a month.
Whoa, okay.
But that worked out perfectly, because when I started archiving them and releasing them archived, I had about a month of backlog. So you're basically not, if you're listening on the free feed, as they call it, there's not really any delay between episodes, but there's a delay between when the episode was recorded and when you're hearing it. But generally, it's the same level of like gaps in releases, if there are any, which I've been pretty good at not having any gaps in releases, that is. But sometimes I get busy. I'm one man. People will sometimes be like, "Tell me about your team," and I'm like, "Well, hello, I'm my team."
Well, you're doing the Lord's work, Mr. Franks.
Yeah, I'm doing the Lord, His Son, and the Holy Spirit's work all together. I don't have a 3-part, you know.
Yeah.
But no. And speaking of that work I do, that work is Indiepocalypse, and there's a new one out. Just yesterday, one came out. And Indiepocalypse 32, might I recommend you get out there and buy that thing, you know? We've got 10 new games, you know, we're genres all over the place. We're talking adventure, we're talking bitsy games, we're talking arcade-style games, we're talking Sega Genesis homebrew games, we're talking everything, you know?
Electric Zine Maker.
Electric Zine Maker comes with every issue. I'm encouraging people to get into the zine making lifestyle. There's it's just like, I'm here to expand your mind on what games can be. You know, I want to be someone's weird gateway drug to alternative art, you know, in games. Everybody, I think, you know, they reach a time where they try the first piece of alternative art. Maybe it doesn't hit with them, or maybe they're like, wait a minute, you can make stuff like this? People can make stuff like this? People can have all sorts of, like, it doesn't have to be like follow rules or have like a familiar gameplay loop with a satisfying payoff or whatever. Indiepocalypse.com. It's a place where you can buy it. That's my website. But also, if you just search Indiepocalypse, I got a good SEO. You can probably find it that way. You find a bunch of people talking about articles about a thing that doesn't exist, being the idea that there's too much art in the world and that somehow forces you to compete with a market, which is very silly, because
not at all.
There's always been too much art, you know. Before games were invented, there were too many movies. You know, before movies were invented, there were too many books. There's always been too much art in the world.
Yeah.
And there always will be too much art, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Not enough art, maybe.
That's what
and, yeah.
That's
And it's like, what have you made something kind of thing? Have you made too much art? Is there too much art coming from you specifically? Probably not.
Right. Each person has brings. Listen, we're infinitely complicated people with similar yet unique experiences. We all bring something, and we all express our experiences differently too. So you never know what an individual will bring. So it's art is cool, and that's why I do it. But that's the show. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Good to have. It's always good to have I've actually been enjoying my one-on-ones lately. It's a good little kind of way to get focused. But I also love the good group chat every now and then. So, Adam, Velislav, and Konstantin, thank you all for being here. I'm gonna close the show out. Goodbye, everybody.
Pleasure.
Goodbye.
Pleasure. Bye.
Pleasure.